Returning this week is Dr. Russell Samson to talk about preventing hardening of the arteries. Hello, doctor.
Hi.
Hi. We've talked about some really interesting things over the course of the weeks that you've been here, and this week we're going to talk about preventing hardening of the arteries. So please start with that, and then we'll go from there.
So a lot of the conditions that we've been speaking about in the arterial system have been blockages in the arteries to the carotid arteries, blockages in the arteries to the legs, aneurysms, and there are other blockages that can affect any other artery, like the kidney arteries can give you kidney failure, arteries to the intestines that if they block, you can actually get gangrene of the intestines, a fatal condition. So you don't want to get a blockage in the artery. You don't want to get what we call hardening of the arteries. And, you know, that's the same thing as we've said, it's in the coronary arteries. It's a buildup of fat, sometimes calcium, blood products that form inside the wall of the artery and then narrow the artery such that eventually it blocks the artery and prevents circulation to an important part of your body, like your brain or your heart or your legs. Or sometimes pieces can actually break loose and then carry down by the bloodstream, for example, into your leg, and can actually cause gangrene of your foot. Or if a piece breaks loose and goes to your brain, can cause a stroke. Breaks loose in your heart can cause a heart attack. So you don't want to get this condition. So there are many ways that you can prevent this from happening, or if you've already got it, to prevent it from getting worse.
Okay, and what are those?
And that's what I want to tell you about.
Okay.
So look, the most common thing that people are doing to themselves is smoking.
Oh, terrible
and
thing.
if people would stop smoking, I wouldn't be here today. Because my office and my house and a lot of what I've used to educate my children have come from people who smoke. And I'm an ex-smoker, so I know how hard it is to give up, but you have to give up smoking. The other thing that's a very common cause, and that's becoming rampant across the world at the moment, is diabetes.
Yes.
And we're not quite sure why people with diabetes have exaggerated hardening of the arteries, but they do. And they get it, interestingly, in different places. So
different places than people
body.
Without
Correct.
diabetes.
So a smoker tends to get blockages in the heart arteries, the neck, and the abdomen. Diabetics tend to get it in the arteries below the knee. And so they are very prone to getting gangrene of the feet. And one of the biggest problems with diabetics is often amputation. And that's because they have blocked arteries in the legs. So controlling diabetes is critical. So then the other thing that people talk about, what about my diet? What about my intake of fat? And that's become very controversial at the moment. I mean, we do know that too much fat's bad for you, but sometimes there are diets where all you do is just eat a lot of fat. There are diets where you just eat a lot of meat. And then there are other diets where you use common sense.
Right, and that's what we should do.
Well, that's what I believe. I think everything in moderation. So there's the so-called Mediterranean diet is what we tell our patients to go on. So a lot of vegetables, a lot of nuts, fish oils, really fish if possible. I must admit I'm a big meat eater. My wife gets on me all the time, but I do try to watch other things, and one of the other things you can do is exercise. So getting yourself into an exercise program is critical. 30 minutes of good intensive exercise, if you can do it, is going to make a huge difference to you. A lot of people think, you know, I've already got this problem, there's nothing I can do about it, and they just accept it, and that's really a mistake.
Is it reversible?
Unfortunately, it's not, but there is something coming down the line which I think may reverse blocked arteries. So I think everybody knows about drugs called statins. So statins lower cholesterol, and it's not only the lowering of cholesterol that works. There's something about statins that prevents inflammation in the blood vessel. So your cholesterol may not go down that far, but if you can reverse the inflammation with a statin, you can halt, I think, blocked arteries. So I believe anybody that's diagnosed with blocked arteries or atherosclerosis or hardening of the arteries should definitely be on a drug called a statin. But there are 2 drugs that have just come out in the last year which are injectable, and they will take your cholesterol into the basement. I've seen patients now with the so-called bad cholesterol, we call it the LDL cholesterol, an LDL of 10.
Oh my.
And people know about, you know, they'll say, well, my cholesterol's not too bad, it's 100, 120.
Right.
We're reducing this well below what we think is now the goal, which is 70, into the 10 range.
So when you say injections, how often do people have to have them?
Between 2 and 4 weeks. Now, they're very expensive medications.
Okay.
They're not for everybody, and they're not necessary for everybody.
Okay.
But you asked me, can you reverse the problem?
Right.
We are starting to see some people with reversal of the blockage on these drugs. We're still waiting to see whether it's going to improve life expectancy, because the drugs have not been around long enough for us to tell. But I have a prediction that they are going to change the face of blocked arteries. Yeah.
Now, are they covered by insurance?
So the insurance carriers don't like spending $14,000 a year on medication.
And that's what it would
nor
be?
do patients.
Oh my
Currently,
gosh.
that's what it is.
Oh.
But you know, it's like everything. If it turns out to be very beneficial,
Yeah.
and we do see people not getting strokes and not dying from heart attack or losing their limbs, and more people on this, the price is going to come down.
Well, the price is going to come down, but my gosh, your health is invaluable. I mean, look at everything that our bodies do for us without
The
thinking
problem
about
is
it.
so many people have hardening of the arteries that if the insurance carrier started to pay for everybody who's got hardening of the arteries with these drugs, they'd go broke and the country would go broke. So I mean, the best thing at this thing is control it yourself. Diet, exercise, stop smoking, watch that you don't get diabetes, watch what you eat, and then I think if you do, go on a statin. A lot of people don't like to take these statin medications because they say they get side effects. Some people do. But discuss it with your doctor first before you stop the medication. If you're on it and you think you're getting a side effect, yes, stop it for a while,
Sure.
but discuss it with your doctor. Your family doctor can prevent hardening of the arteries.
Okay.
You do not need a vascular surgeon until it's too late.
Well, I'm glad you're here, though, in case people need you.
Happy to help.
Thank you again so much for being here.
Thank you.
End with your website, please. I apologize.
No problem. Veinsandarteries.com for our group. There are 6 of us. And SarasotaVeinDoctor.com.
Okay, and everything is on your website. I've
Everything is
looked
there.
at it, so anything any of our viewers have missed, they can find it there, or they can watch previous episodes.
Or they can come speak to us.
Or they can.
Sure.
Great. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Aging Gracefully on Suncoast FYI. To find previous episodes, go to snntv.com under programming. See you next Saturday and Sunday at noon.